Why are you always snooping? That's what she said, like I was some nosy kid rummaging through a closet, not her husband. Not the man who'd loved her for 13 years, who'd memorized every freckle on her back and once held her hair through 2 nights of food poisoning without sleeping. No, in that moment, I was a pest. An invader. She said it over her shoulder, too. Dismissive. Cold. Like the conversation didn't deserve her full attention. I'm not snooping, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm trying to understand why you keep changing your phone passcode every week. She didn't even look up from the sink. You either trust me, she said, or you don't. That was her favorite escape hatch, trust. The word she used like a glass shield, perfect and transparent, designed to cut if I pushed too hard. I stood there in the kitchen, holding her iPad in my hands. The same iPad she always let our daughter use. The one she'd forgotten was still syncing messages from her phone. The screen blinked awake with a gentle tap of my thumb. No password. Still logged in. A green bubble appeared at the top corner. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same hotel. My breath hitched. I didn't want to believe it, but my thumb moved on its own. The message thread opened like a wound. Dozens of texts, weeks, maybe months, unfolded in front of me. And suddenly, my hands weren't steady anymore. Photos. Inside jokes. Voice notes where she whispered she missed him, needed him, missed his smell, missed his arms. All sent while I worked late shifts, while I packed lunches, while I played monster under the bed to keep our daughter laughing through another night of thunderstorms. The worst part? He was someone I knew. Dan, our daughter's soccer coach. The guy I invited over for beers after practice. The guy who gave me grilling tips while watching our kids run around the backyard. I wanted to scream, but instead, I closed the app, powered down the device, and walked to the window. The backyard was lit in gold from the dying sun. Our daughter was playing with the hose again, soaking the dog, laughing like life was still simple. I didn't want to taint that sound. Not yet. So I made a choice. I said nothing. Not that night. Not the next. I waited. Not out of fear, no. Out of something colder. I wanted to understand how far she'd go if she truly believed I was blind. And part of me, the most damaged part, hoped I was wrong. That it was just a few messages. A joke. A mistake. But they kept coming. She'd smile at me in the morning while texting him under the table. She'd kiss me goodbye, her lips still warm from laughing at some stupid thing he'd sent. I started saving everything. Screenshots, audio files, backups. Not for revenge. For clarity. I needed to see it. All of it, laid out plainly. And then came her birthday. A dinner. Our house. Dozens of friends and family. The kitchen smelled like rosemary and butter. Her favorite. I cooked everything myself, rented the chairs, ordered the wine. I even made the stupid cake with her initials piped in purple frosting, just the way her mom used to. She came down the stairs glowing. Not for me. For the attention. And somewhere in that crowd, I caught it, the way her eyes scanned the room. Just a flicker. Looking for him. For Dan. I don't even think she realized she was doing it. He didn't come. But she kept checking the door every 10 minutes, hiding the disappointment behind laughter and second helpings of wine. That night, just before dessert, I stepped away. Into the bedroom. Closed the door gently. Opened the iPad one last time. The messages were still syncing. She hadn't changed a thing. You'd love this dress. I wore it for you. Can't stop thinking about your hands under the table last week. He's clueless. I love you. I really do. The weight of those words fell on me like bricks tied to the lungs. Not just the betrayal, but the ease. The casual cruelty. I stared into that glowing screen for 5 full minutes before I moved. Then I walked back out into the dining room. Everyone was mid-toast. Her sister raised a glass to the most incredible woman we all adore. Laughter. Applause. She beamed like a child on stage. I tapped the side of my glass. The room quieted. Before we cut the cake, I said, my voice steady, I'd like to read a few messages. Birthday wishes. Her face tilted in curiosity. I turned the iPad toward me and began. Out loud. One message. Then another. At first, people laughed, thought it was a joke. A game. Until they didn't. Until the words got darker. Intimate. Indisputable. Her smile dropped. The room froze. She reached out. What are you doing? I kept reading. Eyes darted. Chairs shifted. Her father's fork clinked against his plate as it slid from his hand. I stopped at the one that said he's clueless. Then I looked up at her, voice barely a whisper now. but sharp as glass. I trusted you. Her face went pale. Her mother gasped. Someone stood up behind me. I couldn't tell who. My vision tunneled. The world blurred into a single frozen frame. My wife, standing at her birthday table, surrounded by everything she'd ever wanted, everything we built. And me, reading the wreckage. But I wasn't angry. Not anymore. I was done. She didn't cry right away. That surprised me. Her lips parted, just slightly, as if the right words were caught in her throat, struggling to make their way out. But nothing came. Just silence. A silence so deep you could hear the tension crackling like static between the wine glasses. I looked around the table. Her sister had her hand over her mouth, eyes wide. Her best friend Janie was frozen mid-sip, her glass hovering inches from her lips. Even her father, the man who once told me I was the best thing to happen to his daughter, wouldn't look at me. She finally said, standing. That's not what you think. I nodded slowly. Then tell them what it is. She glanced at the screen. The last message still open. He's clueless. No defense came. Just that sickening, embarrassed flush rising up her neck. A shame too deep to hide behind fake indignation. I set the iPad down. Carefully. Like it might break if I moved too fast. Like she might. Do you love him? I asked. No answer. So I asked again, quieter. Do you? And this time, she looked me straight in the eye and said nothing. That was the moment it broke. Not the marriage, no. That had shattered long ago. I just hadn't heard the sound. What broke was the illusion. The lie I'd clung to every day since the cold distance started creeping between us. The lie that we could fix it. That maybe she was just stressed. That maybe I hadn't been enough. But the truth was simple. I was enough. She just wanted more. I didn't plan it, she finally whispered, hands trembling. It just happened. I almost laughed. That phrase. It just happened. Like infidelity was an earthquake. A natural disaster. Something you stumble into by accident. I looked at her. The woman I used to watch fall asleep every night. The one who once ran barefoot through a thunderstorm just to dance with me in the driveway. And I didn't see a wife anymore. I saw a stranger. Why him? I asked. Why someone I trusted? Her shoulders slumped. Because he saw me. That stung more than I expected. I saw you too. I said, my voice raw now. I saw every version of you. The scared girl. The hopeful wife. The mother who cried herself to sleep when she thought she wasn't doing enough. I saw you, but you stopped seeing me. Her hand reached for mine across the table, reflexive, desperate. I didn't move. Behind us, the cake sat untouched. Candles still unlit. This wasn't her night anymore. It wasn't mine either. It was just the wreckage of something we thought was love. She looked around the room like a drowning swimmer scanning the shore. But no one threw her a rope. Not her sister. Not her parents. Not Janie. People weren't angry. They were disappointed. And disappointment, real, quiet, heavy disappointment, is worse than rage. It lingers longer. Cuts deeper. I'm sorry, she whispered. Please. Can we talk, just us? I nodded once, more out of reflex than anything. She led me to the hallway. The sounds of murmured disbelief followed us, like ghosts floating behind each step. In the quiet of the hallway, she broke. Tears, finally. Real ones. I didn't want to hurt you, she said, collapsing against the wall. I was stupid. I was lonely. You were always working or distracted, and I felt invisible. I finished. She looked up at me, eyes wide. Yes. I nodded. I know that feeling, I said, because I've been invisible to you for 2 years. She didn't argue. That was the first honest thing between us in months. I sat on the staircase, elbows on my knees, staring at the carpet we picked out together 3 summers ago. She joined me, careful not to sit too close. Is it over? I asked after a long silence. With him? She nodded. Yes. It's done. It didn't mean anything. I looked at her again, really looked. At the woman I once would have fought anyone for. And all I saw was a person who couldn't tell the difference between desire and devotion. You said it didn't mean anything, I said, shaking my head. But it cost everything. She sobbed then, quietly, messily, and I didn't comfort her. Not because I hated her. I didn't. I still don't. That's what makes it hurt the most. I wanted to reach for her, to take the pain away. But I also knew that pain was the only real thing in this house now. The one thing we didn't fake. So I stood up, went to the guest room, closed the door, and for the first time in a long, long time, I let myself fall apart. I left the house 2 days later. Not with slamming doors or teary ultimatums. Just a duffel bag. A pair of boots. My journal. I didn't even take the iPad. She asked if I'd come back. I said I didn't know. I wasn't trying to be cruel. I just needed air. Room. Distance from the bed that still smelled like her shampoo. From the dinner table where her phone used to buzz at 11 p.m. She tried everything after that. Texts every morning, just checking in. Hope you're okay. Then longer ones. I miss your voice. I miss us. Please let's talk. And eventually, silence. The silence said more than her messages ever could. Because silence is what she gave me for years. Now she knew how it felt. I stayed with my brother for a week. Slept on his couch. Told him everything. He didn't say much. Just patted my back and grilled me burgers every night like it was the only medicine he knew how to offer. When I finally talked to her again, it was at a diner we used to visit before our daughter was born. The kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and pancakes the size of steering wheels. She looked tired. Older somehow. Not in the lines of her face, but in her posture. Like the guilt weighed more than she was built to carry. I've been going to therapy, she said, stirring her coffee. By myself. Not just for this. For everything. I nodded. That mattered. It did. I know I don't deserve anything from you, she said. But if you need answers, if there's anything I can say. There isn't. I cut in gently. I've read all the answers. She nodded. Swallowed hard. What do you want? I asked. Be honest. Her lips parted, closed again. Then finally, I want to fix it. I want to start over. That's when I told her about the night I read the messages aloud. I didn't do it to shame you, I said. I did it because I needed the lie to end. I needed it gone. She blinked at me, surprised. That moment, when you didn't deny it, when you just stood there and let the truth land. That was the first time in years I believed you. Her eyes welled up. So what now? Now, the hardest part. I forgive you, I said. Not because you asked, but because I need to. She started to cry again, covering her face with her hands. But forgiveness, I added, doesn't mean reunion. Not always. Sometimes it just means letting go. She didn't fight it. That was new. She just nodded through her tears, the kind of nod that says I know. I deserve this. We signed the separation papers quietly a few weeks later. I kept the house. She moved in with her sister for a while. We shared custody of our daughter. I made sure she never saw us argue, never saw us broken. Just changed. Because people can break and still become better. Sometimes love fails. Not because it wasn't real, but because people stopped choosing it. That's what she did. And in my own way, so did I. I stopped speaking up when things hurt. I wore silence like armor. That was my failure. The difference is, I own mine now. A year has passed. I'm not bitter. Not angry. Just clear. Clearer than I've ever been. I still pass by that diner sometimes. Sit in the same booth. Sometimes I write. Sometimes I just watch the door. Not waiting for her. Just remembering what truth costs. And what peace is worth. People ask if I'll ever trust again. I tell them I already do. Just not blindly. And that's the difference. Because trust, real trust, doesn't come with secrets buried in synced messages. It comes with honesty. With choosing each other when it's hard. With staying present when it would be easier to vanish. She told me to stop snooping. What she really meant was, stop looking too closely. But I did look. And it saved me. Not from heartbreak. But from staying somewhere my soul was already gone. That was the gift in the betrayal. The strange, unexpected gift. Freedom. And now I get to decide who I become next. Not as her husband, but as me.